Today we're going to learn 4 classic Christmas melodies on the ukulele. This was actually voted on over at my Patreon page, so if you'd like to download the tab as well as help decide next month's tutorial, be sure to check it down in the link below. But let's go and start with the first song, the ultimate Christmas classic, Jingle Bells. And it should sound something like this. Now, to play this, there's a couple different techniques that we can use. You notice I just played it with my thumb there. You can also finger pick it, whatever's more comfortable for you. It's a couple tricky switches as you go through, though. We're going to start with a G chord. To play this, index finger on the 2nd fret of the C string, ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, and middle finger here on the 2nd fret of the A string. We're going to strum through all 4, either with our thumb or we can pluck all 4 with our fingers. Then we're going to play 2 on the A 2 more times. So that gives us our sort of jingle bells. Then we're going to do this again for the 2nd measure. And then we're going to play it, the G chord, a 3rd time. But then instead of playing the 2 on the A again, we're going to stretch our pinky up to 5 on the A. Now, ideally, you want to leave these other fingers in position when you move up to this 5, but that can be really difficult. So if you have to take some fingers off to do that, it's totally okay, as long as you go back into that G chord. Because the next note we're going to play is the 3 on the E, which should already be there with the ring finger. And then we're going to take our pinky and middle fingers off to play the open on the A string. And then we're going to play a G chord for here on measure 4. Now what I really like to do, if you want to make it a little bit more advanced, is play 0, 2, 3, 0. See how my middle finger is off the A string? And then I'm going to play through and maybe do a little hammer on onto that 2 on the A. That can just sound so nice. So it's open on the A, hammer onto 2. If you need extra help with hammer-ons, pull-offs, and other embellishments, there's a link down below for a course that I did. So that first part is just jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Going to measure 5 here, we're going to play a C chord. And to do that, we just take our ring finger, place it on the 3rd fret of the A string, strum through all 4 strings. We're going to play that, and then 3 on the A 3 more times. Oh, what fun it. Now, the next here on measure 6, it's a little bit tricky. What you're going to do is play a G chord, which is index on the 2nd fret of the C string, ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, middle finger here on the 2nd fret of the A string. But you'll notice it's 3 on the A that's written. So what you're going to do is take your pinky finger and you're going to stack it onto the A string. So you have 0, 2, 3, 3, but all 4 fingers are on the fretboard. And the reason for that is you're going to strum through this chord, and then you're going to take that pinky off and you're going to play 2 on the A 4 times. It's a really tricky transition if you don't set yourself up for success by using that pinky finger to get it just right. And then from here, we go on to an A7 chord, but it's not a normal A7. It's got an extra note in it for the melody. To do this, take your ring finger off, take your index finger, slide it down to 1, and leave your middle finger where it was on the 2 on the A. So we have 0, 1, 0, 2. And we strum through all 4 of those. And then we're going to play open on the A twice, so take that middle finger off. And then we're going to add it back on. So we have... And then we go to a D7. To do this, take these 2 fingers that are already on the ukulele and move them up to 2 on the G string with the index finger and 2 on the E string with the middle finger. And we're going to play through all 4. And then we're going to stretch our pinky up to 5 for the 5 on the A. So let's go ahead and hear just those measures 5, 6, 7, and 8. So it should be something like this. What fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey. And then what you'll notice is on the tab here, there's a repeat symbol. What this is telling you is to go back to the beginning of the song here, where the other repeat symbol is, and we're going to play it all again. So after you've played measure 8, we go back to measure 1. But this time, instead of going to measure 7 and 8 like we just did, we're going to go on to measures 9 and 10. And the reason for this is actually really simple. It's because there's a number 1 above the A7 and D7 telling you it's the first ending. And there is a number 2 above measures 9 and 10, the D7 and G chord, telling you it's the second ending, which means on the second run through, we're going to play 9 and 10 instead of 7 and 8. And to start this, we're going to start with a D chord bar all the way across the second fret of your ukulele. Add the pinky finger on 5 on the A. You're going to strum through all 4. Play the 3 on the A again, or 5 on the A, excuse me. And then you're going to play 3 on the A with your middle finger. And then you can take everything off or open on the A. And then you go to a G chord. And you can fret the whole chord, but we're only going to play our G, C, and E strings. So you can kind of strum through and stop that thumb on the A string to get that melody note. So that last ending is something like this. You'll notice that completes Jingle Bells. But there's an extra note at the end. And this extra note is actually the pickup to our next melody. It's just the 2 on the C, which we're going to play here with the 2, with the index finger on the second fret on the C string, like we had with the G. And now this goes into our second melody. Our second melody here is actually my personal favorite Christmas melody, which is Saw 3 Ships. And so with that pickup note, with that 2 on the C, we then go into it, and it should sound something like this. Such a beautiful melody, but with a lot of fast chord changes. You'll notice as we go through these melodies, they get a little bit more difficult each time. So to start, we're going to still be playing G. We're still holding our G chord. We're going to strum through our G, C, and E strings. And remember, just like we ended Jingle Bells, we're going to stop on that A string with our thumb. In the event we use our thumb, we can also pluck. Then we're going to play 3 on the E again. Then we go to a D7, All that we do for that is take your index and middle fingers and move them up 1 string. So instead of it being here on the C and A, it's going to now be on the G and E. So index finger on 2 of the G, middle finger on 2 of the E. We're going to strum through all 4 strings. And then we're going to add the ring finger on 2 of the A. And then we're going to make this kind of tricky G chord. We're going to move our pinky up to 5 on the A, and then we're going to have our index on 2 of the C and our middle here on 3 of the E. But as we do this, we want to set up our index finger to actually bar across the C, E, and A strings. It's not important for this chord here, but it is important for the next melody note, which is 2 on the A, in which you're going to take your pinky finger off to play. So we have this sort of start of and then we go back to our D7, middle finger slides down 1 fret to 2 on the E string, and index finger crosses up and over to 2 on the G string. Strum through all 4. And then we're going to play 3 on the A string. You can use your ring finger. There's no real great way to do this because the next chord that's going to play is an E minor, and we got to shuffle all of our fingers, which is one of the things that makes this a little bit tricky. To do this, you're going to take your ring finger, place it up to the 4th fret of the C string, the middle finger to the 3rd fret of the E string, and your index finger here to the 2nd fret of the A string, and strum through all 4 strings. Then you're going to play 3 on the E, which is already there. And then you're going to take your ring finger off and strum your G, C, and E strings, stopping on the A for that little C chord. But you can actually leave your index finger here on 2 because the very next note is a 2 on the A, which is kind of neat. Going right into measure 14 now, we go to that D7 chord, slide your middle finger down to the 2nd fret of the E string, cross your index up to the 2nd fret of the G string, strum through all 4 strings. And then play 2 on the E, which is already there. And then take your index and move it to 2 on the C and play that twice. It's a little bit of a doozy, but with the correct fingering, it makes it a lot easier to play. So let's look at just measures 13 and 14 real quick. It should be something like this. Go Going into measure 15 now. We're going back to our E minor chord, so we're going to place our ring finger on the 4th fret of the C string, middle finger here on the 3rd fret of the E string, strum through our G, C, and E strings together, play the 3 on the E, and then we're going to slide that middle finger down to 2 on the E string, cross the index finger to 2 on the G string for the D7, take that ring finger, place down 2 on the A, then we move back to that G chord, the 0, 2, 3, 5. Remember the index finger bars there across the C, E, and A because right after we play this, we're going to play 2 on the A, taking the pinky off. Go back to that D7, 2, 0, 2, 0. And then we're going to play 3 on the A string, which we can use our ring finger. And it's a little bit different here at the end. We're now at measure 17. You're going to play a G chord, which you're going to bring these 2 fingers down to 2 on the C string with the index finger, 2 on the A string with the middle finger. The ring finger is going to be here on the 3rd fret of the E string. Strum through all 4. Then you're going to play 3 on the E twice. Take the ring finger off, or excuse me, take the middle finger off, which is on the A string, the bottom string there. And then we're going to add that middle finger back onto 2 on the A. And then we're going to play a D7, so we just move those fingers up, 2, 0, 2, 0. And then we go back to our G chord and stop on the A string. What a doozy, right? Well, let's go and just look at measures 15, 16, 17, 18. They should sound something like this. And just like Jingle Bells, we have a 2 on the C at the very end of this that is the pickup to the very next melody. So unlike Jingle Bells, there's no repeats here, but we are going to now be moving on to our 3rd theme, which is Oh Christmas Tree. And this is a jazzy version of Oh Christmas Tree and is actually specific for high G ukulele. Now, if you're playing low G, I'll give you a little solution to it, but it really works best on a high G. The next 2 themes actually really are nice on high G. And so this is Oh Christmas Tree. It's a little bit more jazzy, a little bit more Vince Guaraldi type of style in it, which I think came out really nice on the ukulele. So we're going to play 2 on the C to start it all, which is the end of 18. And then we're going to go on to this 3rd theme here. And we're going to start with this little squiggly line on this G6 chord. Well, what that means is to upstrum, because our melody note is our G, our high G. This is why it's specific for a high G ukulele. And that should sound something like this. Index finger on the 2nd fret of the C string, middle finger here on the 2nd fret of the A. That sort of sound. You can hear very jazzy. And to give kind of context for the whole arrangement, the whole thing should sound something like this. Really nice tone, right? So after we did that upstrum, to get that melody on that G string, we're going to play it 2 more times. Now, quick side note, if you're a low G player and you're like, I can't get that melody note, what you do instead is you play 0, 2, 3, and you just play the 3 on the E string a couple times, right? That's that same G melody note. So you have, much like we did with the ending of Jingle Bells and I Saw 3 Ships. Other than that, though, it's completely compatible with both tunings. So we have that beginning. And we're going to go to a D7 chord, take your index and middle fingers and just move them up a string, just like we've been playing throughout these arrangements. And then from here, we're going to move to a B minor 7 chord. To play this, take the index finger and bar it all the way across the 2nd fret of the ukulele, strum through all 4 strings. Play the 2 again on the A. Then move to an E7. To do this, index finger slides down to 1 on the G string, middle finger to the 2nd fret of the C string, ring finger to the 2nd fret of the A string. You're going to strum through all 4 of these. 2 on the A again. So those first 2 measures, 19 and 20, are something like this. Going into 21, we're going to play the hardest chord ever on the ukulele, an A minor 7. All open. That was me being sarcastic. And then we're going to play 2 on the A string, with our middle finger, and then 3 on the A string with our ring finger. And then we go to our D7 again with our index and middle fingers. Nice and simple. And then we're going to play the other hardest chord on the ukulele, a C6. All open. We'll explain why one's called A minor 7, one's called C6 in just a moment. And then we go to our G chord, but we only play our G, C, E strings. And we play that to just let it sort of ring for a moment, and then we play 2 on the C, which picks it back up. Now let's go ahead and hear just 19, 20, 21, 22. It should be something like this. Now, quick itty bitty music theory lesson. Why is it called an A minor 7 the first time and a C6 the second time? Well, if you were playing with a band, specifically with somebody playing a bass, they are going to be playing the root of the chord more often than not. And that creates the sort of sound of that whole context. An A minor 7 and a C6 contain the same 4 notes. In the case of an A minor 7, it's A, C, E, G, which is the 1, 3, 5, 7. And C6 is C, E, G, A, which is the 1, 3, 5, 6. Those numbers aren't that important. But what it really is about the texture and the sort of emotion you get from it. And so just as a real quick aside, does this sound major or minor to you? Well, in a vacuum, you might not know. But if I surround it around with expectations, it can sound very different, right? So if I do something like this, here, that sounds really major. That's me using it more as like a C6. But if I were to do something like this, now it's more minor. Isn't that amazing how the context can change? So that's why one is A minor 7, one is C6. One is an A minor chord with some added flair. The other is a C major chord with some added flair. And even though those come out to be the same notes, they can create different sort of vibes depending on the context. But here's what's so cool about this is we just played 19, 20, 21, 22. 23, 24, 25, 26 are exactly the same except for the very, very last note. So 22 into 20, or 23, excuse me, into 24, and then we've got 25 into 26. It's exactly the same. 23, 24, 25, 26 are exactly the same as 19, 20, 21, 22, except the very last note, that 2 on the C, at the end of measure 22, is just not played at the end of 26 because it's just the melody repeated. So that sounds something like this when you put it all together. Measures 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Whew, should be something like this. Now with that upstrum that I started with, you might notice I'm using the nail of my thumb. That's what I like for the tone, but it's okay to use the index finger too, which is a little bit easier to get a good tone with. So that's our third melody, the Jazzy O Christmas Tree. And now we're going to go to the star of the show and by far the most difficult of these and the true high G only. This is Carol of the Bells in campanella style. Now this is getting kind of cute because campanella is Italian for bell-like, and it's a technique used on the ukulele to create a bell-like sound. So what better song is there to do campanella technique than Carol of the Bells? Now, this one is tough. When you listen to the performance, this took me a little while to practice and get comfortable with because it's very non-intuitive. But this is some of the most fun I've had playing the ukulele recently because when you get it down, it just works. So don't be scared because the first 2 measures are much easier than the following. So if you only get the first 2 measures down, you still can have a lot of fun with it and still sounds really cool. To start, we're going to build a little chord shape, even though it's not shown here on the tab. We're going to be building this kind of G minor chord. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our middle finger and place it on the 3rd fret of the G string. We're going to take our index finger and place it on the 2nd fret of the C string. And we're going to take our ring finger and place it on the 3rd fret of the E string. And what we're going to do with this is we're not going to play the C string to start, but we want to make sure that it's covered because we're going to play 3 on the G. I use my thumb for this. And then we're going to play open on the A. I like to use 4-finger picking for this particular piece. If you've never done 4-finger picking before, be sure to check out the link down below where I did a workshop on this technique. Because we're going to play the A string, and then we're going to play the 3 on the G again, and then we're going to play 3 on the E. And when we play the 3 on the E, I like to use my middle finger here. I'm leaving my index finger ready to go on the C string. Now, if you're only working on this first part, it is totally fine to use 3-finger picking, which means thumb on the G, index on the E, middle on the A. Just know that we're going to need to use that C string in the next part. So, those 4 notes that are played is all there is to it because it's going to do that 4 times. It's going to go. And that is the first 2 measures. 27 and 28 is just this 4 times. Now real quick, the reason this is called the campanella technique is I could play that melody something like this, right? Here each note is individual, but when I play it like this, here each note rings into each other. That's the campanella effect. So if that's challenging, it's okay to stick with that for a while, but let's go on to measures 29, 30, 31, 32, which, I mean, seriously, this is some of the most fun I've had playing the ukulele in a while. It's crazy. What we're going to do is create this nice little bass line in addition to that being played. So we're going to have these notes going. Remember how I said that the C string is going to be used later? Well, it's going to be playing this bass line while the other fingers and the other strings are playing that melody. And it starts just like this, with that chord I just mentioned. We're going to pluck our G and our E strings at the same time. And that's our first bass note, that 3 on the E. And then we're going to play open on the A, 3 on the E, or 3 on the G, excuse me, and then 3 on the E, the same melody, so it goes. And here's where it gets crazy. Then we're going to play the 3 on the G, like we have to this point, but we're now going to add our pinky finger up to the 5th fret of the C string. And we're going to pluck the C and G together. And then we're going to play A, G, E. So measure 29 looks something like this. And if you do this correct, all of these notes should keep ringing until they're played again. Going on to 30, this is where it really gets difficult. I'm going to take my middle finger, I'm going to collapse it on the G and the C strings. And this is the hardest part of the whole melody, is we need to play the G and C together on 3. And it's really easy to get a buzz here. It's okay to kind of put that finger behind the ring. That can help make sure that you're still able to get a sound, but it is tricky. A quick tip is make sure that your finger isn't completely flush. It's okay if the finger comes up a little bit, depending on the size of your hand. I've got pretty big hands, so mine likes to stick up a little bit more, but it doesn't have to be all contained. And we're gonna pluck the G and C together, and very likely to get a buzz here, because it's very difficult to get. And then we're gonna play the A, G, E, and then we're gonna go back to that chord, so that middle finger comes off with the index going back onto 2 of the C. Again, this is very challenging, but very rewarding. And then open A, 3, G, 3, E. So just to hear that, let's hear just measure 30. It's something like this. And here just 29 and 30 sounds something like this. How cool is that, right? We get that nice bass line going down. We go on to 31 and we play the 3 again, so we collapse that finger. See, I just got a buzz there. To be honest, I'm kind of holding my uke up. I normally play it like this. So I'll make lots of mistakes when I'm teaching this part because it is challenging. So don't feel bad if you're making mistakes too. We play that 3 again, followed by the open A, 3 on the G, 3 on the E. Then we go to the 2 on the C with the 3 on the G. So 31 is something like this. Going on to 32, we take that C string and we open it. So we take our finger off, play the C open with the 3 on the G string. And then you reapply it to 2. So measure 32 is something like this. And 32 is something like this. Right? But again, this is so satisfying when you get it, and it might feel completely impossible at first, and that's just because it's so non-intuitive. As you work on it, you will get better, I promise. Here's what 29, 30, 31, 32 should sound like. It's something like this. Hopefully I don't make a mistake. Notice there's a repeat marker here, and it's going to go right back to 29. And then after you've repeated it, we go to a measure 33, which we just take that index finger, collapse it so it's barred across the C and E strings, play those 2. And then slide that bar all the way to 10, so you have 0, 10, 10, 10, my favorite G minor chord on the ukulele, and just strum through all 4. Isn't that nuts, right? Carol of the Bells is a really big challenge. It can hurt the hand and everything else, but man, it is so satisfying when you work this up to speed. And I hope that showed in the performance I did at the start of this just how much I'm enjoying this. But there you have it. There's our 4 Christmas melodies for the ukulele. We worked through Jingle Bells, which is, a nice sort of beginner intermediate chord melody, to I Saw 3 Ships, which is a little bit faster, uses a few more chords, to Oh Christmas Tree, using some of those jazzy voicings, really using some of the high G elements, to Carol of the Bells, which is using that campanella style and is quite challenging. If you have any questions with any one of these melodies, please leave the comment down below. I try to take a look at all of those. And again, if you'd like to download the tab to this and support these tutorials, please consider checking out my Patreon page, which is linked down below. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. I cannot believe that 2021 is already over and we're looking at 2022, but here we are. It's crazy. As always, thank you so much for checking out the video. I hope that you can like and subscribe so that you can see more of these, and I will see you guys next time for the next tutorial. Thank you so much. Take it easy.